The Seattle condo glowed with sleek modernity, its open-plan living room bathed in grey light, filtering through floor-to-ceiling windows. Beyond, the Puget Sound shimmered, framed by distant Olympic mountains, but the view did nothing to ease the tension in the air. Ellen, 70, stood clutching her woven tote bag, her cardigan a soft contrast to the room's stark minimalism. Her daughter-in-law, Sarah, stood rigid, arms crossed, her tailored blazer sharp against the neutral decor. "Why don't you just disappear, Ellen?" Sarah's voice cut like a winter wind. "We don't need you hovering over us." Ellen's son, James, leaned against the kitchen island, his silence a heavier blow than Sarah's words. Then he spoke, his voice low but firm. "Life would be easier without you here, Mum." Ellen's heart splintered, but she held back tears. She had raised James alone after her husband's death, pouring her savings into his education, his tech startup, and the down payment for this very condo. She'd spent countless weekends babysitting their twins, Ava and Ethan, baking cookies and driving them to soccer practice. She'd brought casseroles when Sarah was overwhelmed and wine for their promotions. Now, at 70, she was deemed a burden. "I understand," Ellen said, her voice steady despite the ache. She lifted her tote, the one she'd carried since James's childhood, and walked to the door. The city's drizzle blurred the view as she stepped into the elevator, her reflection in the steel doors showing a woman unraveling. The drive home was a fog. Ellen navigated Seattle's slick streets, the Space Needle looming faintly through the mist. Her hands trembled on the wheel of her old Subaru as James's words echoed. Life would be easier. Had every Thanksgiving, every birthday been a facade? Had they always wished her gone? She pulled into the driveway of her craftsman bungalow in Capitol Hill, a home filled with memories of James's laughter and her late husband, Tom's gentle presence. The cedar porch swing creaked, unaware the woman returning was braking. Inside, silence pressed against her, no twins' chatter, no clatter of dishes from family dinners, just the tick of a mantel clock and the weight of rejection. Ellen sank into her armchair, staring at a photo of James's wedding, her smile radiant beside Sarah's. When had she become disposable? The argument had sparked over a small thing, a hand-painted serving bowl, a family heirloom from Ellen's grandmother. Sarah had borrowed it for a work dinner and hadn't returned it. Ellen, needing it for a church potluck, mentioned it during a visit. "It's around somewhere," Sarah said, not looking up from her laptop. "The potluck's tomorrow," Ellen pressed gently. "It's for the community center." Sarah's sigh was sharp. "I'm buried in deadlines, Ellen. I can't drop everything for a bowl." Ellen offered to look herself, but Sarah snapped. "This is the issue. You're always here, always judging, always keeping score of what we owe you." Stunned, Ellen said, "It's just a bowl." But Sarah's words escalated. "It's never just a bowl. It's your advice on the twins' school, your rearranging our pantry, your constant presence. You're suffocating us." James walked in then, his tech bro hoodie out of place in the heated scene. Ellen looked to him, expecting support, but his sigh was weary. "Mum, we've talked about this. You overstep." The betrayal was a physical ache. Ellen had been James's anchor, his confidant, through Tom's death, his startup struggles. Now he stood with Sarah, who delivered the final blow. "We'd be better off without you." Ellen left, the city's pulse drowning her shattered heart. Ellen's Capitol Hill bungalow, with its sage green exterior and stained glass windows, felt foreign. The hardwood floors creaked under her steps, each sound a reminder of James's childhood. His first skateboard in the driveway, late-night study sessions for college applications. Now, the house was a mausoleum of a life that no longer fit. Ellen wandered through rooms, touching the oak dining table where she'd hosted family dinners. Photos lined the fireplace mantel, James's graduation, the twins' first Halloween and dinosaur costumes, Sarah's tentative smile at their engagement party. Ellen had been essential then, needed. When had that changed? She sat in the kitchen, where she'd taught James to make Tom's blueberry pancake recipe. The fridge held leftovers from last Sunday's dinner. Lasagna, now a relic of a time when she was welcome. Ellen couldn't eat, couldn't think. She moved to the porch swing, overlooking the street, where neighbors waved and delivery bikes whirred. Seattle's drizzle pattered on the awning, indifferent to her pain. Her phone stayed silent. No apology from James, no FaceTime from the twin asking for her bedtime stories. Had her absence gone unnoticed? Ellen's mind replayed her years with Sarah. She'd tried to embrace her daughter-in-law, a driven marketing director with modern ideals. But Sarah's boundaries were firm, her corrections subtle but relentless. Ellen's way of folding the twins' clothes was inefficient, her homemade soup recipes too heavy. Ellen adapted, visiting less, holding back advice during dinners. She thought she'd done enough. She hadn't. The bowl argument was merely the spark. The fire had been smoldering. Sarah's accusations, suffocating, intrusive, stung because they held truth. Ellen had reorganized their pantry once, thinking it helpful. She'd suggested coding camps for the twins, believing her experience as a retired librarian gave insight. Had she been overbearing without realizing it? Sleep evaded her that night. Ellen lay in the bedroom she'd shared with Tom. The quilt he'd loved still on the bed. She'd been James's rock after Tom's heart attack, working 2 jobs to keep this house, attending every soccer game, helping with every science fair project. She'd been his cheerleader, his safe haven. Then came Sarah, ambitious and precise, with clear ideas about family dynamics. Ellen tried to adjust, to respect their space. The subtle shifts began. Her visits dropped from weekly to monthly, her gifts for the twins pre-approved. She'd learned to ask before bringing dishes to dinners, to check before offering advice. Still, harmony was a facade. The serving bowl had unleashed years of buried resentment. Ellen stared at the ceiling, the clock ticking past midnight. "We'd be better off without you." The words echoed in the empty house, in the hollow spaces of her heart. Had she been blind, or had they been ungrateful, discarding decades of love? As dawn broke, a resolve stirred, one she hadn't felt since Tom's death at 45, when she'd rebuilt their lives alone. They wanted her gone. Perhaps it was time to redefine what gone meant. Ellen rose, the Seattle mist cloaking the world outside, and began to imagine a life not tethered to their expectation. Days bled into weeks, and Ellen moved through her routines like a ghost. She watered her ferns, collected mail, attended book club at the local library, making excuses for her family's absence. "The twins have art classes," she'd say, or "James is swamped with a new project." The lies tasted bitter. Neighbors asked about Sunday brunches, their concern thinly veiled. Ellen smiled, deflecting, but the silence from James and Sarah was deafening. No calls, no texts, no sign her absence mattered. The twins' birthday passed without a visit, their cards unsent on her desk. Had they forgotten her so easily? One morning, sorting linens in the hall closet, Ellen found a box of photo albums. She pulled out James's baby book, his tiny handprint, his first soccer trophy, crayon drawings, labeled Best Mum Ever. The memories felt like accusations. Had her love been too much? Her presence too heavy? Next to the albums was her will, naming James as sole heir to the bungalow, now worth over $1 million in Seattle's hot market. A realization hit, cold and sharp. Was this her value now? Not mother, not grandmother, but a future inheritance? Sarah's comments about the house's value, the twins' college funds, suddenly realigned. They were planning around her death, counting on it. Ellen called her attorney, Margaret Hayes, that afternoon. Margaret, who'd handled Tom's estate and James's college trust, welcomed her into the familiar office downtown, its cedar walls smelling of polish. "Ellen, what a surprise," Margaret said, her smile warm. "How's James and the family?" Ellen sat, her hands folded. "That's why I'm here. I want to change things." Margaret reached for her file. "Your will?" Ellen shook her head. "My life, starting with the house. I want to sell it." Margaret's pen paused. "The Capitol Hill bungalow? You've always said it's for James." Ellen's voice was firm. "Things have changed." Margaret studied her. "Is everything okay? This feels sudden." Ellen hesitated. Margaret wasn't just her lawyer. She'd known Tom, watched James grow. "James and I had a falling out," Ellen said carefully. "It's made me rethink everything." Margaret nodded, though her eyes searched Ellen's face. "Selling a family home is a big step." Ellen leaned forward. "I've been living for their future, not my present. I want to live before it's too late." The words surprised her, their truth crystallizing. What did she want? After decades of prioritizing Tom, James, the twins, what was left for her? They talked for hours, market values, taxes, investment options. "Find me a cash buyer," Ellen said finally. "Someone who can close fast." Margaret hesitated. "Are you sure?" Ellen nodded, a certainty settling in her bones. "It's time." That night, she walked through the bungalow, touching the doorframe where James's height was marked in pencil. She wasn't saying goodbye to the house, but to the woman she'd been. Wife, mother, grandmother, defined by others' needs. A developer called the next week, offering cash, no contingencies. "They'll likely tear it down," Margaret warned. "Build condos." Ellen felt a strange relief. Let the past make way for something new. "Accept the offer," she said. The decision, once made, felt like shedding a heavy coat. She slept soundly for the first time in weeks, dreaming of open roads and uncharted horizons. The bungalow sold in 10 days, a developer's cash offer sealing its fate. Ellen signed the papers on a rainy Tuesday, the closing attorney noting her calm. "Most people cry selling a family home," she said. Ellen smiled. "I've done my crying." The check, a sum that felt surreal, hit her account. Margaret arranged meetings with financial advisors and realtors. Ellen's calendar, empty for weeks, brimmed with possibility. She gave herself 3 weeks to pack, sorting a lifetime into keep, donate, discard. The guest room was easy. Towels, old lamps, But James's childhood bedroom was harder. She found his first soccer jersey, his science fair ribbons, Mother's Day cards with wobbly handwriting. Had she been the best mum? Or, as Sarah claimed, controlling? Perhaps both. In the master bedroom, Ellen uncovered Tom's flannel shirts, still hanging where he'd left them 25 years ago. The scent was gone, but their shape held his memory. "Time to let go," she whispered, folding them for donation. The dining room hutch held her grandmother's china, used for every holiday. She wrapped each piece, recalling Thanksgivings, the twins' tiny hands grabbing rolls. Would there be more family dinners? She didn't know, but labeled the box Family Heirlooms. The photos were toughest. James's school portraits, family vacations, the 4 of them after the twins' birth. Ellen couldn't take them all to a smaller place, but couldn't discard them. She spent a day curating albums, digitizing the rest. Ellen's new life took shape. Set up college funds for the twins, she told her advisor. Irrevocable trusts, accessible at 18, no matter our relationship. She donated a chunk to Seattle Children's Hospital, Tom's old workplace. "And for yourself?" the advisor asked. Ellen paused. "A small place by the coast. Something simple, beautiful. Invest the rest for travel." Travel? The word felt foreign. "I want to see Iceland, New Zealand, Japan," she said, surprising herself. The realtor showed her a 1-bedroom condo in Edmonds, overlooking the Sound. Its balcony framed ferries gliding across the water, the air sharp with salt. "It's perfect," Ellen said. "A big change from Capitol Hill," the realtor noted. "That's why it's perfect," Ellen replied, making an offer that day. The movers came on a Thursday. Ellen stood in the empty bungalow, the walls echoing with memories. She traced the doorframe's pencil marks, whispering, "Goodbye." Not to the house, but to the woman who'd lived for others. The condo welcomed her with blank walls, a canvas for her new self. She arranged her curated belongings, photo albums on a shelf, Tom's pocket watch by the bed, her grandmother's rocking chair by the window. New pieces followed, a navy sofa, abstract art in blues and greens, a small dining table for 4. That first night, Ellen sat on her balcony, the Sound's waves replacing the bungalow's clock. Stars glittered above, and she felt unmoored, yet anchored, free from expectations, rooted in her choices. Her phone remained silent. Did James know she'd moved? That she'd sold their inheritance? For now, the silence was part of her rebirth, teaching her to exist without their validation. A month passed in the condo, and Ellen found new rhythms. Mornings began with coffee on the balcony, watching ferries slice through the mist. Afternoons were for beach walks, collecting driftwood, or reading novels she'd shelved for years. Evenings brought wine and sunsets, the sky bleeding orange over the Sound. She made excuses to friends about her family's absence, smiling through the ache. The twins' school play came and went. Ellen didn't attend, unsure if she was welcome. Her phone stayed quiet. No calls from James, no texts from Sarah, no videos from Ava and Ethan. Had they erased her? In her building, Ellen met neighbors who became friends. Clara from 4C invited her to a knitting circle. The Thompsons hosted trivia nights. Dr. Lee shared tide charts for beach walks. "You're new here?" Clara asked over yarn. "New to everything," Ellen said. "New home, new life, new me." Clara nodded. I reinvented myself after my husband passed. Moved here, learned kayaking at 67. Kayaking? Ellen laughed, picturing herself on the water. Why not? Clara grinned. Ellen adopted the mantra, saying yes to book readings, ferry rides, even a pottery class. Her calendar filled, yet the family-shaped void lingered. Some nights, she drafted texts to James, never sending them. Pride and hurt held her back. Ellen's Iceland trip loomed. She bought luggage, hiking boots, a camera. At a travel seminar, a woman asked, "Traveling alone?" "Yes," Ellen said, the words steady. "That's brave," the woman replied, her tone dubious. Once, Ellen would have agreed. Now it felt like survival. Doubt crept in. Should she reach out? One evening, she drove past James's condo. The twins' bikes lay on the balcony, Sarah's car in the garage. Life moved on without her. She didn't stop, tears blurring the highway. Back home, she booked a Northern Lights tour, a defiant act of self-love. The twins' absence ached. She missed their giggles, their questions. Had she lost them in her quest for respect? Sundays were hardest, once filled with family brunches. Now Ellen walked the beach, the waves her only company. She disappeared, as they'd asked. Could she reappear, or did she want to? Then her phone lit up. 18 missed calls in an hour, 12 from James, 6 from Sarah. Voicemails piled up. "Mom, call us." "What's going on?" "This is urgent." Ellen's pulse raced. After months of silence, this urgency jolted her. Part of her wanted to ignore them, to let them taste her absence. But the mother in her couldn't. She called James. He answered instantly. "Mum, what the hell?" His voice was tight. "A neighbor said your house is gone. Condos are going up." Ellen exhaled. "I sold it, James, weeks ago." Silence. "You what?" "That was our inheritance, the twins' future." Ellen's voice was calm. "It was my house. I chose to sell." James sputtered. "You can't just—" "Mum, what's wrong with you?" Ellen steadied herself. "You told me to disappear." "So I did." Ellen agreed to meet at a Pike Place Market cafe. The bustle of vendors and tourists, a buffer for the confrontation. James and Sarah were already there, looking haggard. James stood, his face a mix of anger and confusion. "You look different," he said, eyeing her shorter, silver-streaked hair and vibrant scarf. "I am different," Ellen replied, sitting. Sarah's gaze was wary. "Where are you living?" "We went by the house, construction crews everywhere." Ellen sipped her coffee. "I bought a condo in Edmonds, by the Sound." James blinked. "The beach? You always said sand was a hassle." Ellen smiled faintly. "I've discovered I like it." Silence settled, heavy amid the cafe's hum. "Why?" James asked, his voice low. "Why sell our history?" Ellen stirred her coffee. "Do you remember what you said? Life would be easier without me." Those words broke something, but they also woke me up. Sarah flushed. "We were angry. People say things." Ellen's eyes were steady. "Some words can't be undone." James looked down. "So this is punishment? Selling the house?" Ellen shook her head. "Not punishment. Consequence. I've been your safety net, your babysitter, your inheritance. You took me for granted, secure in the house's value." They protested, but Ellen raised a hand. "When you told me to disappear, I realized I'd been living for your future, not my present." Ellen showed them photos of her condo, explained the twins' college funds, the hospital donation. "I'm traveling," she added. "Iceland next month, Japan later. They exchanged glances, grappling with this new Ellen. "What about us?" James asked. "The twins?" Her composure wavered. "I miss them terribly, but you wanted space." Sarah's voice cracked. "We meant less hovering, not this. The twins asked for you." Ellen's brow rose. "You told them I was sick?" James winced. "What else could we say?" Ellen leaned forward. "You could have called, any time in 3 months." James met her gaze. "So could you." The impasse stretched. "I needed to find myself without you," Ellen said. "To stop being just your mum, their grandma." Sarah's eyes softened. "We never meant to lose you." Ellen's voice was quiet. "Did you want me or what I provided?" Sarah flinched. "That's unfair. You made me feel judged, like my parenting, my home, wasn't enough." Ellen paused. "I never meant that, but your pantry, the twins, schedules. I thought I was helping." James nodded. "We avoided conflict. Let resentment build." The admission shifted the air. "The twin made you cards," Sarah said. "They're in the car." Ellen's heart cracked. "Of course I want to see them." James fetched 2 glittery cards. "We miss you, Grandma." Ellen traced the words, tears welling. "I've missed them too." Sarah hesitated. "Can we start over?" Ellen nodded. "But it'll be different. I'm not your fallback anymore." James exhaled. "We need to respect that." It wasn't resolution, but a foundation. 2 months later, a fragile normal emerged. Sunday dinners resumed, rotating between Ellen's condo and James's. The first visit was awkward. The twins raced through her minimalist space, James eyeing her coastal art. "It's so bright," Sarah said, noting the teal walls. "I like color now," Ellen remarked. The twins claimed her guest room, demanding specific snacks. Ellen allowed it, fostering their place in her world. James struggled. "It doesn't feel like you," he said on her balcony. "It's exactly me," Ellen corrected. "The me you didn't know." Iceland transformed her. Glaciers gleamed, the northern lights danced, and Ellen sent the twins postcards from every stop. She made friends, solo travelers with their own reinventions. Back home, she showed the twins photos of puffins and geysers, their fingers tracing maps. "Can we come next time?" Ava asked. "When you're older," Ellen said. "Some trips are for me." James raised an eyebrow but stayed quiet. Later he admitted, "You seem happier." "I am," Ellen said, "because of what happened." Boundaries solidified. Ellen babysat. Thursdays, her choice. She attended the twins' recitals, not every practice. Sarah relaxed, and Ellen asked before suggesting. Small steps built trust. Setbacks came, tension when Ellen declined a last-minute babysitting request, James's irritation when she sold old furniture, but they addressed issues, now adjusting. "You used to avoid fights," James noted. "Now you're direct." "Healthier, right?" Ellen asked. He nodded. Before her Japan trip, James helped pack. "I'm sorry we made you feel unwanted," he said. "I'm sorry I sold the house without talking," Ellen replied. "We needed the wake-up call," James said. "Seeing you happy. It's worth more than any house." Ellen smiled, the words a bridge. In Kyoto, Ellen writes this from a temple garden, cherry blossoms falling. Her coffee cools as she reflects. 6 months ago, disappear shattered her. She did, not in defeat, but in rebirth. becoming a woman who belongs to herself. Yesterday, she hiked a shrine's steps, pausing but refusing help. A monk sketched her, noting her eyes of change. Her phone pings. James. Dinner when you're back? Twins have a surprise. Ellen replies, can't wait. I've got surprises too. Healing isn't linear, but words flow now, honest if imperfect. Tomorrow, she'll visit Nara. The twins send messages. Sarah shares her photos on Instagram. Grandma's cooler now, Ethan says. In Seattle, Ellen will host dinner, balancing independence and love. They asked her to disappear, and she reappeared. Visible, authentic, alive.